We took a human child. Now our sky is filled with warships, best HFY stories. The Drink were an advanced, spacefaring species, cold-blooded, calculating, and ruthless. They ruled over vast stretches of the galaxy, their warships cutting through the stars like sharks hunting in a sea of endless darkness. They had conquered countless worlds, their enemies either crushed or assimilated into their empire. No species had ever posed a real threat to them, until they encountered humanity. It started with a simple mission, an exploration of a planet in a backwater system. The Drink had intercepted signals from Earth, curious about the primitive species that had begun to send their messages into the stars. Their scientists had warned them that humans were weak, divided, and ultimately unimportant on the galactic scale. But the Drink, ever cautious, decided to collect one of these creatures for study. The target was a small human child, a girl, no older than 6. They had no idea what they were dealing with. They descended on Earth quietly, taking the girl from her family without anyone noticing. Her parents were heartbroken, their pleas falling on deaf ears. The Drink took her aboard their warship and left. Their mission complete, they thought little of it. The girl, however, was not as helpless as they thought. Her mind, despite her age, was sharp, and she quickly adapted to her new environment. She learned the Drink language with alarming speed, picked up their technology, and even began to understand their brutal military tactics. But most importantly, she understood one thing: the Drink had made a grave mistake. 4 days, she watched their soldiers, listened to their leaders, and studied their ways. One night, alone in her cell, she found a way to hack into their comms system. She broadcast a message, a simple one, to her people back on Earth. It was just a few words, but they were enough. We took a human child. Now our sky is full of warships. The message reached Earth in less than an hour. What the Drink had underestimated was humanity's ability to unite, to act in the face of adversity. The moment the message was intercepted by Earth's military, they mobilized. What followed was the largest space fleet ever assembled by a single species. The people of Earth, driven by their love for the child and the sheer audacity of the Drink's actions, began to fight. The human warships, once primitive compared to the Drink's fleets, were now a force to be reckoned with. Earth's engineers, scientists, and military strategists worked together, using every ounce of human ingenuity to craft weapons and defenses. In a matter of weeks, the Earth was no longer a weak, isolated planet. It had become a major player in the galactic arena. The Drink, who had once laughed at humanity's efforts, soon found themselves facing a terrifying reality. The humans weren't just fighting for a child, they were fighting for their entire species. And they were winning. The warships that filled the sky were not just weapons of destruction, they were symbols of humanity's resolve. They were proof that no one could ever truly underestimate the human spirit. The Drink had thought they could take a child and forget about it. They had thought that humans would remain helpless, divided, and weak. But what they didn't understand was that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their technology, their weapons, or their numbers. It was in their unity, their drive to protect their own, and their ability to overcome seemingly impossible odds. The Drink, once proud and unstoppable, soon found their empire unraveling. Human warships clashed with their fleets in the black void of space, and Earth's forces pushed them back. One system at a time, the galaxy began to change, and the Drink were no longer the apex predators they had once been. As the Drink empire fell, the human child was returned to her family, but she would forever carry the legacy of her people's triumph, a reminder that no matter how far the Drink had reached, humanity's will was stronger. And from that day forward, the Drink would remember the sky, full of human warships, as the moment they learned that humanity was not a species to be trifled with. They had taken a human child. Now, they knew better. The end. We took a human child. Now our sky is filled with warships. Part 2. The defeat of the Drink Empire should have been a victory, a moment of triumph for humanity and proof that even the mightiest of empires could fall before human resilience. But as Earth's ships tore through the remnants of Drink space, something unexpected happened. The universe took notice. The galaxy had always been a place of uneasy alliances, brutal wars, and unspoken rules. Each species knew their place in the grand order. The Drink had been at the top, an unchallenged force for centuries, and their downfall had shifted the balance of power. But humanity's actions? They were unprecedented. At first, other alien species thought the fall of the drink would be an anomaly. Perhaps humanity had gotten lucky, had caught them off guard. Yet, time and time again, Earth's forces demonstrated something that had never been seen in the galaxy before, an ability to adapt faster than anyone could anticipate. A message came from a species known as the Zolcians, an ancient race with a reputation for their brutal efficiency and militaristic society. They were the first to make contact with Earth after the war, arriving in a massive, black-armored ship that eclipsed the stars as it approached. Humanity's fleet, still a collection of diverse, rapidly evolving ships, waited for the Zolcian emissary to speak. "You have humiliated the drink." The Zolcian commander's voice echoed across the calms. "You are a threat to the peace of the galaxy. The war you fought will not go unchallenged." Earth's response was swift. The message was simple: we do not seek war, we protect our own. But the Zolcians had no interest in peace. For them, humanity's victory represented a dangerous precedent, a species that could rise to power too quickly, too unpredictably. They were the first to strike. The Zolcian fleets descended on Earth's outer colonies, their ships cutting through space with surgical precision. However, they had underestimated one critical factor: humans didn't just fight for survival, they fought for their future. The warships that filled the skies once more weren't just ships, they were a reflection of human ingenuity. New designs had emerged, evolved from the technology humanity had scavenged from the remnants of their battles with the drink. The Zolcian invasion was met with an organized and coordinated defense that shocked the galaxy. Earth's ships, once a ragtag group of hastily assembled vessels, were now a formidable fighting force, their weapons and tactics perfectly tailored for the job. The battle for Earth's survival lasted for months, but it soon became clear that the Zolcians had underestimated their adversary. Human forces struck back with brutal efficiency, using guerrilla tactics, resourceful strategies, and a never-give-up mentality that pushed the invaders into a retreat. And then, something unexpected occurred again. The Zolcian forces, realizing that they couldn't win, tried to broker peace. They offered an alliance, a chance to share in the spoils of the galaxy and work together to build a new order. But the humans weren't interested in alliances built on fear. They had seen what happened when they trusted those with power who only sought control. Humanity's response was clear: we do not need alliances. We need peace, but we will not bow to anyone. The Zolcian commander, humiliated and frustrated, withdrew from Earth's system. Word spread quickly across the galaxy. The Zolcians, who had once thought of themselves as the ultimate force in the galaxy, were now forced to acknowledge that humans were not to be underestimated. The message was clear: humanity had arrived. Meanwhile, the human child, the one whose capture had started it all, grew up to become a symbol of humanity's resilience. Her story was retold across the stars, an emblem of what humans could do when they fought for what they loved. But her role was far from over. It wasn't long before emissaries from other species, who had watched the unfolding events from a distance, came forward. They, too, saw humanity as a potential ally. But there were those who feared Earth's rapid rise. The galaxy was no longer certain whether humanity was a new, promising ally, or a force that would eventually eclipse all others. As human influence spread across the stars, alliances formed, borders shifted, and a new chapter began in the story of the universe. The humans, once a weak, divided species on a distant planet, had taken their place among the stars, not through brute force, but through determination, innovation, and a deep-seated belief in protecting what was theirs. Humanity's legacy was just beginning. And as for the drink, the Zolcians, and every other species who had ever thought they could control humanity, well, they knew the truth now. The humans would no longer be underestimated. The galaxy had learned its lesson. The end, for now. We took a human child. Now our sky is filled with warships, Part 3. The story of humanity's rapid rise from a fragile species to an unstoppable force had spread across the galaxy. It was a tale told in hushed tones and reverent whispers, passed down from one star system to the next. No one had anticipated the consequences of Earth's emergence, and as more alien civilizations took notice, many began to wonder if this new power would be an ally or a rival. In the heart of the galaxy, There was an ancient race known as the Vash. They were older than most of the galaxy's empires, their culture steeped in mysticism and their technology beyond anything humanity had seen. The Vash were pacifists by nature, preferring to mediate disputes rather than engage in warfare. Yet, they had an unrivaled reputation for wisdom and for the ability to see the future in ways that others could not. The Vash had been watching humanity's rise for years. They saw the potential for both greatness and devastation, a species capable of both incredible unity and unbridled aggression. But what concerned them most wasn't just humanity's strength, it was their unpredictability. The Vash had foreseen a time when humanity would surpass all others in power and influence, and they knew that such power could either bring peace to the galaxy or shatter it completely. In response, the Vash extended an invitation to Earth, offering a rare opportunity, an audience with their Council of Elders, a group of beings that had seen countless civilizations rise and fall. They promised guidance, an alliance that would ensure humanity's place among the stars, but at a price. To prove humanity's worth, they would be required to undertake a series of trials, tests that would challenge not only their technology but their very character. The message was delivered to Earth by a fleet of sleek, silver ships that appeared out of nowhere. Their arrival was met with both awe and trepidation. Despite humanity's recent victories, they were not foolish enough to think they had nothing left to learn. The Council of Elders made their terms clear: humanity must journey to the Vash homeworld, pass through the trials, and demonstrate that they had the wisdom, discipline, and strength to wield their newfound power responsibly. Many on Earth, especially the military leaders who had fought to protect their world, were eager to accept. They saw it as an opportunity to gain allies, to strengthen humanity's position in the galaxy. Others, however, were wary. There were whispers of manipulation, of the Vash using humanity as a pawn in a larger game. But the decision was made, and Earth's representatives set course for the Vash homeworld. The journey took months. As humanity's ships traveled across the galaxy, they encountered a dozen other civilizations who had heard of their rise. Some were eager to make peace. Others still carried the fear of humanity's potential for destruction. But none of them could ignore the ever-growing fleet of human warships that accompanied the delegation. Upon reaching the Vash homeworld, Earth's fleet was met by a breathtaking sight. The planet was a lush, green paradise, with cities that seemed to grow organically from the land. The Vash, too, were unlike any species humanity had encountered: tall, ethereal beings with glowing skin and eyes that seemed to pierce through to one's soul. Their presence was calming, but there was an undeniable weight of ancient knowledge in their gaze. The trials began almost immediately. The first trial was a test of strength, an arena battle in which Earth's warriors would face challenges unlike any they had encountered. The Vash summoned creatures from the depths of their homeworld, massive beasts that could manipulate the environment itself. But humanity's soldiers, hardened by years of warfare, faced them with skill and resolve. Despite the odds, they emerged victorious, proving their physical prowess. The second trial was one of wisdom. The Vash asked humanity's leaders to solve complex puzzles that required not only knowledge but a deep understanding of the balance between different civilizations. It was a test of diplomacy, of knowing when to fight and when to negotiate. It was here that humanity's greatest asset, its diversity, shone. Different thinkers, from scientists to diplomats, came together to solve the puzzles, working with a unity that surprised even the Vash. The final trial was perhaps the most daunting, a test of character. The Vash challenged the humans to confront their darkest impulses, to face the consequences of their own violent past and rise above it. It was an emotional trial, where humanity's leaders and soldiers had to confront the very nature of their species, their capacity for destruction, their hunger for power, and the darkness that lay in their hearts. It was here that humanity's true strength was revealed. They did not shy away from their past. Instead, they acknowledged it, learned from it, and vowed to build a future that was better. It was a moment of profound growth, and it was clear to the Vash that humanity had passed the trial, not through perfection, but through their willingness to change. After the trials were complete, the Vash Council gathered to deliberate. The future of the galaxy hung in the balance, and the Vash knew that humanity's actions would shape the next chapter of the universe. When the verdict was announced, it was met with shock, disbelief, and awe across the galaxy. Humanity had passed all three trials. They had proven that they were not just a species of conquerors but one capable of wisdom, growth, and unity. The Vash extended their alliance, offering humanity not just protection but a seat at the table of galactic leadership. With the Vash as allies, Earth would have access to technologies far beyond anything they had imagined. They would help guide humanity in the years to come, ensuring that their rise did not lead to tyranny or chaos. However, the galaxy was not a place of peace. There were still factions, species, and empires who feared humanity's rise. The Vash alliance was a powerful shield, but not all enemies could be dissuaded by diplomacy. Humanity had gained a great deal, but it was only the beginning. As Earth returned to its corner of the galaxy, its fleets filled the skies once more, not as conquerors, but as leaders of a new era. But the question remained, would humanity maintain its newfound wisdom, or would the hunger for power that had once sparked their rise lead them down a darker path? Only time would tell. The end, for now. We took a human child. Now our sky is filled with warships, Part 4. Humanity's rise, once considered an anomaly, had now become the foundation of a new era. The alliance with the Vash had brought peace to Earth's people, but it also ignited a new fire, one that spread beyond their planet, and beyond their fleet. As Earth's warships patrolled the stars, their influence began to grow, weaving through the fabric of the galaxy like a thread of unstoppable force. With the Vash by their side, humanity stood poised to shape the future, but with power came inevitable challenges. The galaxy, despite the lessons of the Drink and the Zolcians, was not yet ready to accept humanity's place at the table. There were factions who still remembered the raw, untamed potential that humanity possessed, and they feared what might happen if the humans ever lost control. Some species, once allies of the Drink, began to band together in secret, forming a coalition to challenge the growing influence of Earth. The Coalition of the Fallen, as they called themselves, consisted of the remnants of ancient empires that had once ruled the stars, now relegated to the fringes of galactic power. They had witnessed the destruction of the Drink, the retreat of the Zolcians, and now they saw humanity's rise. To them, Earth was not a beacon of hope, it was a threat. One of the key members of the coalition was the Rylith, a species of highly intelligent, reptilian beings with an immense military history. They had long held a grudge against the Drink for their role in the fall of their own empire, and now they saw humanity as the next empire to conquer. The Rylith were not interested in negotiation, they wanted to rule, and they believed that the galaxy could never have peace unless humanity was removed from the equation. The Rylith began to amass an armada, and they quickly began to approach Earth's borders. Their first move was subtle, testing humanity's defenses with skirmishes along the outer colonies. They sent spies, saboteurs, and sleeper agents to sow distrust among Earth's allies. It wasn't war yet, but it was the beginning of something far darker. Humanity, however, was no stranger to adversity. The Vash had trained them, honed their abilities not just in combat, but in diplomacy and strategy. The galactic powers that had once seen Earth as an insignificant world now watched as humanity navigated these turbulent waters with a new kind of grace. Earth's representatives understood that war was not always the answer, but sometimes, it was the only way forward. In response to the Rylith's provocations, Earth's fleets were called into action, but this time with a purpose, to protect their sovereignty. Yes, but also to send a message to the galaxy. Humanity would not allow its future to be dictated by fear or by the whims of those who sought to control them. The first major battle came in the distant Orin system. The Rylith Armada, having grown bolder in their aggression, attacked a human colony that had been a critical outpost for Earth's mining operations. The attack was swift and brutal, designed to overwhelm Earth's forces before they could retaliate. But what the Rylith didn't know was that humanity had learned from every battle they had fought, and they had learned to fight smarter. The human fleet, under the command of Admiral Sarakis, was ready. She had spent years studying the Rylith's tactics, learning their weaknesses, and preparing for the moment they would strike. As the Rylith ships entered the Orin system, they were met not by a divided, unprepared human force, but by a unified and well-coordinated defense. The humans used guerrilla tactics, ambushing the Rylith forces with lightning-fast strikes that took out key command ships and disabled their communications. It was a battle of tactics versus sheer numbers, and humanity's tactics won. The battle was a decisive victory for Earth. The Rylith had underestimated humanity's resolve, and in doing so, they had shown their hand. Earth's forces had proven that they could hold their own, and the message was clear: humanity would not back down. However, the victory was not without its consequences. The coalition of the fallen, humiliated by the defeat, was now more determined than ever to eliminate humanity's growing influence. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do when cornered, and some feared that this was just the beginning of something far more dangerous. A new, even more formidable threat emerged: an alliance of ancient species and rogue empires. United by their shared fear of humanity's power, they began to rally forces across the galaxy, preparing for a war that would make all previous conflicts seem like mere skirmishes. But humanity, now battle-hardened and more united than ever, was ready. The warships that once patrolled the skies of Earth now sailed through the stars, a symbol of human strength and determination. This new war would not be easy, but humanity had already proven they were willing to pay any price to protect their future. The galaxy, which had once viewed humanity as insignificant, now watched in awe as they stepped onto the galactic stage, not just as survivors, but as leaders. The rise of Earth had been swift, but its impact would be felt for generations to come. And as the human fleets gathered for what would become the greatest war the galaxy had ever known, one truth remained clear. No one, not the Rylith, not the coalition of the fallen, and not even the most ancient civilizations, could ever again underestimate humanity. To be continued. We took a human child. Now our sky is filled with warships. Part 5. The galaxy was no longer the same. The Rylith, reeling from their crushing defeat in the Oran system, had rallied the other factions of the coalition of the fallen. They had gathered under a banner of shared fear, united not by common goals but by their shared desire to eliminate the emerging power that was humanity. The stage was set for the greatest war the galaxy had ever seen. Humanity, now fully aware of the threat, had entrenched itself in a position of strength, fortified by alliances with the Vash and other sympathetic species. The warships that had once been a symbol of humanity's desperation were now beacons of hope, an ever-growing fleet, expanding with every passing day. Their tactics were refined, their resolve unshakable. But despite their newfound power, Earth's leaders knew they could not win this war alone. The coalition of the fallen had vast numbers, ancient technologies, and decades, if not centuries, of experience in warfare. Even with humanity's ingenuity, it would be a fight for the very survival of their species. The stakes were higher than ever. Admiral Sarah Keyes, now the commander of Earth's unified fleet, knew the war wouldn't be won in one battle. She gathered the greatest minds, strategists, and diplomats from Earth, the Vash, and their allies. The first priority was to buy time, to ensure that the coalition couldn't overwhelm them with sheer force. The second priority was to expose the true nature of the coalition's alliance, one built not on unity, but on fear and oppression. The Vash, with their centuries of experience in diplomacy, were instrumental in these efforts. They managed to reach out to factions on the edge of the galaxy, convincing neutral systems that the coalition's vision for the future was one of endless subjugation, not cooperation. Slowly, the tide began to turn. Yet, despite the best efforts of the humans and their allies, the coalition was relentless. Their fleets began to move into position, and soon, they made their move. It started in the Tetris Nebula, a region of space notorious for its difficult terrain and hidden dangers. The coalition's flagship, the Rylithan, a colossal warship capable of devastating entire fleets, led the charge. The coalition's strategy was clear: overwhelm Earth's defenses before they could reinforce their positions. The first waves of attacks hit the outer colonies with terrifying speed. Entire stations were destroyed, and human civilians were caught in the crossfire. The human response was immediate, as Earth's fleets mobilized to defend their territories. Admiral Keyes, knowing that they couldn't engage the entire coalition at once, adopted a strategy of guerrilla warfare. Rather than face the enemy head-on, humanity's fleets used the nebula's dense cloud cover to launch surprise attacks, striking at key coalition supply lines and command ships. These hits were not meant to win the war. They were designed to show the coalition that humanity could fight on their terms, not theirs. Meanwhile, Earth's diplomats worked tirelessly, trying to undermine the coalition's fragile unity. They reached out to the various species within the coalition, offering them an alternative: join humanity's growing alliance and secure a place in the future, or continue to follow the Rylith and face eventual extinction. Slowly, cracks began to form. As the war raged on, the Vash worked with humanity's top scientists to develop a new weapon, a game-changer that could potentially tilt the balance of the war in humanity's favor. It was called the Ether Array, a powerful energy weapon capable of disrupting the very fabric of space-time itself. It was still experimental, but humanity's need for an advantage had made it their top priority. However, the Coalition, aware of Earth's growing technological advancements, began to close in on Earth's home system. They knew that if they destroyed Earth itself, they would break the will of humanity and shatter any hopes of a united front. The Rilithan led the charge, and their fleet grew ever larger as they approached. The final battle was fast approaching. Earth had fortified itself, its warships now working in perfect harmony with Vash technologies. But the Coalition, knowing this would be their last chance to break humanity's resolve, brought everything they had to bear. It was Admiral Keyes who delivered the final order. "Prepare the Ether Array," she said, her voice steady. "We fight for Earth. We fight for our future." The Ether Array was activated in the heart of Earth's system, sending a massive shockwave through space. The weapon did not merely destroy, it destabilized the Coalition's ships, their advanced technology scrambling under the powerful energy pulse. The Rilithan, flagship of the Coalition, was left crippled, unable to maneuver or return fire. The rest of the Coalition fleets, caught off guard, struggled to maintain cohesion. Humanity's warships, fueled by desperation and the unbreakable resolve of their people, launched a full-scale assault. The battle in the heart of Earth's system became a swirling chaos of fire and destruction. But humanity's tactical advantage was overwhelming. In the end, the tide turned. The Coalition fleets, their leadership shattered, began to retreat. The Rilithan, though still operational, could no longer lead the charge. The once mighty force that had sought to crush Earth was now fleeing before them. With the Coalition broken, Earth's fleet followed through, sending out rescue missions to the outer colonies and offering peace talks to the surviving members of the Coalition. While the war had not been easy, humanity had shown that their strength wasn't just in their technology, their ships, or their military might. It was in their unity, their adaptability, and their unyielding drive to protect what they had built. In the aftermath, peace talks were held. The species that had once feared humanity now saw them not as conquerors, but as potential leaders of a new galaxy, one built on cooperation, strength, and shared survival. Humanity's rise had been swift, but it was no longer just a tale of conquest. It was a story of what could happen when a species refused to be broken. Earth had not only survived, it had changed the galaxy. The question remained, what would humanity do next? As Admiral Keyes looked to the stars, she knew one thing: the future was theirs to shape. The end, for now. We took a human child. Now our sky is filled with warships. Part 6. The war was over, but the galaxy was far from peace. Humanity had proven itself as a powerful force, not just through its military prowess but through its resilience, diplomacy, and ability to unite disparate factions under a single banner. Yet, in the wake of victory, the challenge was not just surviving the war, it was navigating the complexities of a galaxy forever changed by their actions. With the defeat of the Coalition of the Fallen, the leaders of the galaxy were forced to reassess their perceptions of humanity. The once terrified species that had only recently sent their first ships into space had now demonstrated not just the ability to wage war but to unite the fractured galaxy. Earth's fleets were now at the center of a new power dynamic, and its presence loomed large in every diplomatic negotiation. The first major act of post-war diplomacy came in the form of the Galactic Concord, a new assembly of civilizations, founded on the idea that cooperation could prevent another cataclysmic conflict. The Vash, once wary of humanity's potential for destruction, now stood by Earth's side in the Concord's formation. The first delegates to the newly formed council were a mix of humans, Vash, and representatives from neutral systems, most of them previously at odds with Earth. Admiral Sarah Keyes was appointed as Earth's lead representative in the Galactic Concord, tasked with ensuring that humanity's voice was heard in the shaping of the galaxy's future. Her reputation as both a brilliant strategist and a unifier made her the perfect candidate. But the job was not easy. With each new species and empire that came to the table, the stakes grew higher. As the Concord convened, the delicate balance of power began to shift. Earth and the Vash pushed for a new era of cooperation, advocating for policies that would reduce military escalation and promote shared technological advancements. The more warlike factions, however, were not as enthusiastic. The remnants of the coalition of the fallen were still reeling from their defeat, and many of the old powers could not easily relinquish their centuries-old ambitions. The greatest challenge came from the Zalith, a race of militaristic insectoid beings who had long dominated large swaths of space. While their technology was advanced, it was their sheer tenacity and ability to wage relentless war that had kept them in control. They were not interested in cooperation, they were interested in domination. The Zalitha's representative in the Galactic Concord, a towering, chitinous warlord named Prime Matriarch Thar, wasted no time in making her presence felt. She called for a return to a more traditional order, one where strength, rather than diplomacy, would define the future. "We cannot waste time on weak diplomacy," Thar declared, her voice resonating through the assembly hall. "Only through war and dominance will we secure peace. We cannot allow humans to dictate the fate of the galaxy." Her words were met with murmurs of agreement from some of the more aggressive factions, but humanity's allies, the Vash included, rallied in defense of a more peaceful path. Earth's delegates pushed back, citing the failure of the coalition's military approach and the promise of a better future through cooperation. But the Zalith and their allies were not swayed. A Cold War had begun, a war of ideology, not of weapons, but no less dangerous. Back on Earth, the human government watched the unfolding situation with caution. While most species were learning to coexist, there were whispers of war brewing once again. Humanity had just come through one war, but now they faced the complex reality of peacekeeping and diplomacy on a galactic scale. Their influence had grown, but so had the number of enemies who sought to undermine their efforts. Admiral Keyes, deeply invested in ensuring that humanity's newfound position didn't lead to another cataclysmic war, began to assemble a new task force, this one not just of soldiers and strategists, but of diplomats, scientists, and cultural experts. Their mission would be to serve as peacekeepers, engaging with neutral and hostile civilizations alike to ensure that the galaxy's future was one of prosperity, not endless conflict. As she walked through the corridors of Earth's main embassy in the capital, Keyes met with the leaders of the most influential species within the Galactic Concord. Their collective goal was clear: prevent the rise of another force like the Coalition of the Fallen. But as long as factions like the Zalith remained powerful, peace would always be in jeopardy. Then came an unexpected turn. An old ally, one that had been thought lost to history, returned. The Ithrians, a mysterious race believed to be extinct after a war with the Drank millennia ago, reappeared. They had remained hidden, their fleet cloaked in the deep recesses of space, watching humanity's rise with silent approval. The Ithrians were known for their advanced technology and their unparalleled ability to manipulate space itself, an ability that had made them a formidable power in ages past. Their return to the galactic stage was both a shock and a blessing. The Ithrians offered humanity a powerful weapon, an ancient artifact known as the Starforge, a tool capable of creating near-invincible warships and weapons from pure energy. With the Starforge at their side, humanity would be able to maintain its position at the top of the galactic hierarchy. However, the Ithrians had one condition: Earth must take up the mantle of leadership in the Galactic Concord, guiding the galaxy toward unity, peace, and prosperity. For humanity, this was both a temptation and a burden. Accepting the Starforge meant embracing a new level of responsibility and power, but it also meant placing Earth at the center of a galactic web of politics, trade, and war. Humanity's leadership would be tested in ways they had never imagined. As the days passed, Keyes and the Council deliberated. In a final session of the Galactic Concord, the decision was made: humanity, though still scarred by the war, would accept the Ithrians' gift and their challenge. Earth would step into the role of galactic leaders, not through sheer force or domination, but through diplomacy, wisdom, and a commitment to preventing the rise of another devastating conflict. But the galaxy was far from settled. As Earth began its new era of leadership, Factions like the Zalith would not sit idly by. The galaxy was a vast and volatile place, and even with the Star Forge, humanity would need every ounce of its ingenuity, courage, and resolve to secure a lasting peace. For now, the stars belonged to humanity, but the future was still uncertain, and with every new dawn, the question remained, what kind of leaders would humanity become? To be continued.